Wow, folks, things are getting quite interesting between Elon Musk and Apple. Oh my gosh, okay, I'm going to discuss that at the front of this video here. Everything that's going on here over the past few hours that Elon Musk has been tweeting about in regards to Apple. Then we'll get into the markets, and we'll get into stocks, talk about a lot of various things, including a statement that was made today by a very important individual at the Fed. And I thought this kind of went under the radar, and I want to show you that statement here today and discuss that a little bit, because I think that's really important, what he said, and specifically around the timeline. And I don't think enough people were honestly paying attention to that. So yeah, busy video here today. I appreciate each and every one of you that subscribe to this channel. Thank you for always being here. I appreciate y'all, okay? So first off, this starts out about 3 hours ago. Elon Musk tweets out, Apple has mostly stopped advertising on Twitter. Do they hate free speech in America? Ooh, that's interesting. By the way, that got a lot of likes. I mean, in 3 hours, that's all. Then he goes ahead and tweets out, what's going on here at Tim Cook? Like, why are you guys pulling back advertising? You don't like free speech here? Then Elon Musk goes ahead and tweets out, who else has Apple censor? And this app basically responds, right? And they said, during Rona, Apple demanded our apps filter some search terms from being returned. If we did not filter the terms, our apps would not be allowed in the store. Apple may make good products, but they have been opposed to free speech for some time. Elon Musk said, what terms? They said Apple disallowed almost anything related to Rona, especially these things or these things, okay? And by the way, even myself, I'm always afraid to use some of these just basic terms on my channel because I'm like, I might get demonetized. Like that's the state of the age we live in right now, right? It's pretty insane. We had to build a list of over 20 terms to not show results for, only on Apple devices. Apple also later rejected us because users included basically memes and stuff like that. Like, that's just insane, right? So this is getting very interesting very fast. Then he goes in and tweets out, this is accurate. This video Fortnite made, where Epic Games was basically going to have to continue to give Apple 30% cut from basically any money that was spent on Fortnite through any Apple related products, right? Then he goes ahead and does a poll 3 hours ago and said, should Apple publish all censorship actions it has taken that affect its customers? And look at the results. 86% of people said yes, they should. Only 14% of people said no. I don't know if those were Apple employees or who said no in that situation, because I feel like almost everybody would say yes in that situation, right? Now, this is very important. Very important here. Look at this. Apple has also threatened, this is 2 hours ago, Apple has also threatened to withhold Twitter from its App Store, but won't tell us why. Ooh, okay, that's pretty intriguing there. Wow, okay. Now, this is interesting. So Apple takes a 30% tax from app developers who make over $1 million through the App Store on an annual basis. Apple's App Store is the equivalent of a 30% tax on the internet. And Elon Musk responded to this, right? And this is a very intriguing moment because Apple's being attacked for free speech, and potentially, not supporting free speech. And, this is all a moving thing, so we'll see what happens here. But not only that, they're being attacked for their kind of like as Mav always puts it, the I mob, right? Collecting their 30%. And this is coming under a lot of scrutiny now at this point in time. And I think it's going to come under a lot more here. Now, we'll talk about why this hasn't become a big issue with the government, and I'll explain that in just a moment here. But nonetheless, this is going to get amped up. And when you have somebody like Elon Musk with his megaphone, right, basically telling everybody what's going on here, believe me, a lot of people are going to be starting to talk about this in a massive way. And this is something that could potentially cause a massive, let's call it, problem for Apple stock and for Apple, the company, if the pressure gets amped up here in a major way, because that's a huge deal for Apple, okay? And then 2 hours ago, he basically tweets out this meme here, pay 30% or go to war, and Elon's going to war, okay? With Apple, this is getting very interesting. He went ahead and retweeted what Lex Fridman tweeted, Apple should support free speech, and if you want to think about Apple, right, Apple's the most owned stock by Congress almost continuously. So in regards to anything actually happening here, in regards to Apple, we'll see, okay, because this is one of the most owned stocks. This is usually almost always the most owned stock by Congress. And number two is Microsoft, right behind them, right? And so is Congress in a position where they're going to make a move here if it's the number one most owned stock by Congress? We'll have to see about that, right? But I can tell you, if the public pressure gets amped up more and more here, there's definitely will be more scrutiny on Apple and more folks looking at this and wondering, is this right? The decisions that are being made here by Apple, or is it too much, right? And so this should get really, really interesting. I can't predict that. I can just tell you it's an uphill battle when the number one stock, folks own in Congress is Apple. You're definitely fighting it out. If this was some random company that wasn't a stock that Congress owned, and it wasn't the number one stock they owned, it might be a different situation. But when it's the number one stock Congress owns, that makes it an uphill battle, okay? Now, I also think there's a lot of resentment from a lot of business leaders out there who have seen how well Apple's stock has held up over the past year, right? Just think about this for a moment, okay? I think this is extremely important for everybody watching this to understand. Think about this for a moment. We've watched almost all the tech companies out there fall 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, some even 80% for almost all the tech companies, right? And then you have Apple that is down a whole whopping 10% in the past year. Then it's going to build some definitely resentment from a lot of folks in tech company world looking at this company saying, why is this stock only down 10% in the past year? The big giant that is Apple, right? And that's where you start to think, okay, maybe their business model is a little cheat code or something like that, right? Because that is pretty darn insane when you look at almost everything else in the tech landscape, and it's been absolutely wrecked, okay? Now, in relation to Elon Musk and Tim Cook and Apple, this battle goes back a ways further, okay? It's just reaching a new level of this whole game. So if you haven't been keeping up with the whole Tesla story over the years, this happened, many years ago. But this news came out in 2020. Elon Musk says Apple refused a meeting to acquire Tesla. Elon Musk considered selling basically Tesla during the Model 3 production problems that they had in obviously 17, and that went into 18 as well. But Tim Cook supposedly wouldn't talk in that situation. So nonetheless, this is getting very intriguing now because Elon Musk, I think he really doesn't like Apple, and I think he really doesn't like Tim Cook. I really do. And you're looking at a moment now where Elon Musk controls the most talked about the most talked about service out there in terms of, public discourse, I guess we can say, right? In terms of Twitter. It's the number one. And he controls this now. And so this is going to get very, very intriguing in terms of this fight and seeing like who wins this battle? Is it going to be Elon Musk? Is it going to be Apple? Will things calm down there? But I can tell you, I don't know if Elon's going to let off the gas in this situation, right? I don't know if he is, because I think he has almost nothing to lose in this situation, and probably a lot to gain in this whole situation, right? And Apple's always positioned themselves as a good guy in all these different situations and fighting with Meta and everything like that. But I can tell you, Apple's in a big battle with they're in a big battle now with the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, right? They're in a battle with Meta. They're in a battle with Google. Things are getting interesting because now it's going to seem like I'm thinking like all these forces are going to battle against Apple altogether. In Apple, the one thing Apple has on their side is Congress. So basically, it's like all the other big tech companies are going to battle against Apple, but Apple has Congress on their side. So Apple has a very powerful friend there. Let's just call it that, right? So it's interesting. We'll see how it all plays out, but nonetheless, it's been an intriguing last few hours, and we'll see where things go from there. Okay. All right, guys. Let's talk about the markets. Let's talk about stocks. So first off, the Dow was down almost 500 points today. I'll explain why I think that happened a little later on in the video. I think I know why, okay? And NASDAQ was down pretty big as well. S&P 500 was down pretty big as well. They blamed it in terms of like mainstream media. They blamed it on supply chain concerns. Give me a break. And China stuff, no. Okay, I'll explain that a little later on here. In terms of the commodities index, I wanted to show you guys this because I think this is very important for everybody watching this to see the numbers I'm about to show you here, essentially, okay? But the commodities index continues to fall, and it fell more today. But I think it's important to note, right? that commodities have a ways to fall further. And if you look at most commodities, they usually trade at a normalized range, right? But many of these commodities are still trading, although they've come down immensely from the springtime and from the summertime, they still have a long way to fall in regards to a lot of these commodities. Something like you look at oats, right? Oats is obviously down massively from that ridiculous level it reached, and it continues to fall. But remember, oats are still at 44% over the past 5 years. Like, oats have a ways to fall more, okay? It doesn't mean they're going to come right inside where they were 5 years ago, but nonetheless, they got more to fall. Oats have more to fall. If you look at coffee, coffee's come down an immense amount from where it was, but it has a ways to fall. We're going down more on coffee over time here, okay? If you look at copper, we're down massively from that insane peak, but copper has a ways to fall. We will fall back to normalized ranges for copper overall, and if there's a major recession, we'll actually fall below these trends. That's the other interesting part. If there's a major recession, you'll fall below where we used to be. So copper still has a long way to fall. Lumber is finally back to where it should be, which is a normalized range. It's back to where it used to be prior to the massive kind of inflation 2021, 2022 crap that went on there. And so that's back to normal. That's good to see as far as that goes. If, housing starts getting hit in a major way in 23, which is definitely a possibility, lumber will even go lower, and it will go significantly lower, actually, even from here, believe it or not. Wheat has definitely started to fall. Now, for some of these, they don't go back 5 years, but nonetheless, wheat still has a ways to fall. Same thing with corn. Corn has a ways to fall. Same thing with soybeans. Soybean has a way to fall. So in regards to a lot of these, they have a ways to fall, okay? Natural gas has a long way to come down. Natural gas is one of the most plentiful things you'll ever find out there. We get so much natural gas in the United States of America, we could burn it forever and ever and ever and never run out of that stuff. It's ridiculous how much natural gas we have in the United States of America. So natural gas, it's in my opinion, natural gas is going through its last little high, let's call it that. And that's this winter time. And once about February hits, I'm expecting likely natural gas to start going down in a massive, massive way. And the same things that happen with oil, right? When you look at oil price, everybody got so jacked up about oil price, right? Especially once, obviously, Russia-Ukraine happened. So then everybody got super bullish on oil, right? And everybody piled into oil. Oil's going to the moon, right? And other parts of other than the Russia-Ukraine situation was it's going to be a super busy travel summer. It's a revenge travel summer. Everybody's going to be traveling like crazy, right? And, obviously the oil market was kind of in chaos at that moment, right? But once the oil market started to kind of figure out things, right, and it was less chaotic, and once the revenge travel summer was over, then it was like, okay, what are we kind of going off of now, right? And if you look at the price of oil since the summertime, and so now natural gas is kind of having its glory time here because obviously we're going into winter time, very cold time, and everybody's expecting natural gas to be obviously used in immense amount. But what happens in February when a lot of the wintertime things start to leave and spring starts to emerge as we get into March and April? Guess what's going to happen to natural gas price? So nonetheless, I mean, natural gas has a long way to fall, and I mean a long way to fall. I mean, we're talking under $4, under $4, long way to go there. Okay. So did you guys see this? I think this is extremely important here. Okay. So this company named Azek company, okay, who basically, is in regards to like people that remodel homes or even build homes. They're definitely a construction company in that space, okay? And, with some specific products that some new home builders use or some folks that, are remodeling their homes. Some of their products are used in obviously let's just call it home renovations, new homes, and things like that, okay? And the stock's down almost 8% after hours, essentially, and they're warning of new construction declines. And this is one of the first companies I've seen in the housing space that's actually given it to folks like how it actually is. And I don't think anybody understands how bad housing is really going to get in this country and how weak new home sales will be over the next several years. Not the next year, the next several years. And so this was just for me, I felt like it was a breath of fresh air for this stock to actually report that and let everybody know, hey, there's going to be a big slowdown starting in 2023. And so I appreciate that. And I still don't think any of those companies really understand the ramifications of what's really coming. And it's hard sometimes because you run those companies, and so you have to kind of be optimistic as a CEO, as an executive team. You have to be optimistic. But so I don't even think I don't think any of them are as realistic as bad as things will actually get in that space. But I felt like that was a breath of fresh air out there. Okay. Now, in regards to why the market was actually down today, because you guys might have seen the market down today, right? As we spoke about. In my opinion, the market was actually down for two main reasons. The first one is, I think because Black Friday was so strong, right? I don't think the market likes that. Here's the deal, okay? With Black Friday being strong like it was, between online sales and like I went out, when I was in Arizona at the Arizona house, right? I was in shock, pure shock at how busy it was out there in like the real world. I was like, I can't even believe this. This is probably the busiest I've ever seen on a Black Friday. Like absolutely insanity. And I was not expecting that. And then you see that obviously the online sales numbers come in very strong. Now, some people said, California was slow. I can't speak to California and whatever's going on in California, okay? I've had tons of people reach out to me that were in the South and said it was out of control as far as Black Friday goes. I've had a ton of people reach out that were on the East Coast, said Black Friday was out of control in their areas, in their cities, in their states. So I can't speak about whatever's going on in California. But nonetheless, it was busy out there, like insanely busy. Wall Street doesn't like that. Because at the end of the day, that means consumers are still spending. So which means there's more of a concern that Jay Powell is going to be more aggressive. The Fed's going to be more aggressive, right? Because they're looking and they're like, the economy seems like it's still not in bad shape. Look at record Black Friday spending, blah, 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 right? Imagine if Cyber Monday comes out and it's a record. And so then the Fed says, doesn't seem like the economy is really being hurt yet. So let's just continue raising rates. I think the market... I wouldn't be surprised if the market was up 500 points today if Black Friday sales came in down. And that is so counterintuitive to compare to what you usually think. Because usually in the stock market, you want to see Black Friday hit a new record. You want to see consumers spending money like crazy. Then that's great. And then everybody starts feeling, company earnings are going to go up and the stock market moons and all these stocks go up. But I'm telling you, right now, good news is actually bad news. And it's a funky market we're in. It's very, very strange, but it is the way it is. And so, that's why I think the market was down today. They didn't like seeing this. The other component of this is, look at this, guys. This is very important for everybody watching this right now. Look at this line right here. Buy now, pay later payments increased by 78%. Compared to the past week, beginning November 19th, as consumers continue to grapple with a high price and inflation. So buy now, pay later seems like it's going to be a disaster if people start losing jobs en masse, right? Because if you're thinking about like the order of importance of what you would pay on, right? And let's say you're in a tough financial position. Like the first thing you're going to pay is your roof over your head, right? So it could be your mortgage, it could be your rent, something like that. The next thing usually is going to be your cell phone bill, because for almost everybody, that's usually like a necessity. Next up, it's probably going to be, after that, it's probably your car, if you got a car payment of some kind, right? And then everything starts coming after that. Health insurance and groceries and all those sorts of things, right? But in terms of, groceries is kind of like a necessity, right? But in terms of like bills, credit card bills, all that stuff starts to come after, right? And the buy now, pay later is probably at like the bottom rung. Like that's probably the last thing people worry about paying is like the buy now, pay later stuff. Like, that's right. I bought that $200 blah, blah, blah. And I need to make my payment on that. Like that's so far down on like the level of importance for folks. It's not even funny, right? So I think that's just a big concern as well out there, right? Now, some good news. I want to show some good news out there. Wynn stock was up today, one of the few stocks that was up today, which is amazing. Look at how well this stock has held up, right? Why has this stock held up so well this year? It's only down 7.5%. Like, if my portfolio was down only 7.5%, I'd be a very, very happy camper this year. Okay, that's all I can say about that. 7.5% is nothing after the year we've been through this year. Okay, now I think the main reason the stock has held up so well is because it was already heavily damaged, like ridiculously heavily damaged. So going into this year, it didn't have a lot to lose. Now, the other component that just happened here is basically they announced that their license is getting renewed in Macau. The way I look at that is good. I mean, it's overall a good thing, but at the same time, Macau's been such a mess that it's been losing Wynn a ton of money, losing. And they used to be the straight cash cow for Wynn. So it's been very devastating to see kind of what's happened there. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, like Wynn has the majority of their properties, obviously in Macau versus anywhere else. They have 3 properties in Macau versus 2 in Vegas, right, and 1 in Boston. So this is something that needs to happen. And I'm just, hopeful that eventually Macau really, truly is fully open again and stays fully open again. And China reverses this whole insanity they have going on, which I covered on my new channel last night, okay? Now, in terms of very important comment the Fed made here today that I think went kind of under the radar, and I think this is very important, okay? And this came out of Bullard, everybody's favorite Fed president. The Federal Reserve needs to raise interest rates quite a bit further and then hold them throughout next year and into 2024 to gain control of inflation. These guys think there's still going to be an economy in 2024 if they hold rates at a much higher level than they're already at? They really think that? Come on, man. So we already know. We already know inflation lags majorly, right? We already know this, right? Or not inflation. Well, inflation does lag in a big way as well, right? But in terms of these, the Fed continue to raise interest rates, there's a lag there of at least 3 to 6 months. So we're going to finally start feeling the pain of a lot of these most recent rate hikes in 2023, right? No, they're still hell-bent on continuing to raise rates, and somebody like Bullard continue to raise rates, hold them all the way through 2023 and into 2024. I'm telling you, they're going to completely kill the construction industry. They're going to completely kill the debt industry. They're going to and if you completely kill the construction industry, then you're going to end up killing the overall manufacturing industry as well, which you're going to kill the economy. We know if you kill construction in the United States of America, you kill the economy. We watched this play out in the Great Financial Crisis. The reason the economy went so bad and was bad for years and years and years, right? And it took us a while to climb back to even where we thought we had a stronger economy, which you couldn't even start feeling like that until like 2012, right? And that started really in 07, 08. The reason was you dried up the construction industry and you killed new home construction. You just killed a lot of construction in general, right? And we're in this situation where I'm like, if I don't even know like how you can even get to a place where you think you could still have rates be high in 2024. The economy will be in complete shambles by that time. Unemployment will be up massively, and it'll be an ugly, ugly, ugly situation. And so that's just it's just mind blowing to me. But I mean, the Fed got this whole thing wrong on the other side as well, right? So they lagged big time on raising interest rates and slowing down the economy. We know that, right? They lagged by at least 6 to 9 months. Like they should have been raising interest rates at least 6 to 9 months before they started raising interest rates, right? They should have been working to slow down this economy at least 6 to 9 months, if not 12 months before they did, right? But no, they kept pumping, and obviously, we know how that played out, and it was a horrible decision by them. It was the wrong move, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, I think they're going to make the exact same move, but on the other side now, where they're going to completely wreck the economy. And guess what's going to happen when they wreck the economy? Massive government programs, because there's going to be massive amounts of people unemployed. And then next thing you know, the amount of people on food stamps is going to go up in a huge way. The amount of debt that's not paid is going to go up massively, which means government's going to have to bail out a bunch of stuff. And guess what? The Fed's going to have to end up printing again. And it's just like, just crazy. It is crazy to me, man. But they messed up on the other side. They're going to mess up on this side. It's just when I see comments like Bullard has there, and we'll see what Powell says. Powell's going to talk on Wednesday, so we'll see what he has to say. I feel like he might be a little more maybe in the middle than somebody like a Bullard, but I'm just watching. I'm like, they really think like the economy's still going to be strong into 2024? If they keep raising interest rates and then hold them? Whew. We'll see about that. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. As always, appreciate y'all joining me. Much love as always, and have a great day.